Alright, I'm going to set my telescope up out in the middle of the field. We got a nice spot mode up high, close to the top of the tree line. Here's how I haul everything up there. Got the 10-inch Meade strapped in with a seat belt, and then the tripod fits perfectly in the back. And now we're going to set it up on this plywood. So the view from here is pretty nice. We don't have too much hill in the way. The 360. I got it set up. It only took about 5 minutes to set it up. I got my camera and everything hooked up. Running the dew shield on this 10-inch Meade. This is the old school LX drive. It doesn't, it's not computer controlled, and right now I'm not going to use that tonight. I'll just, besides I got to get a DC to AC converter to run it. We're going to try it out. One good thing about out here, the next closest town's about 7 miles away, and it's a real small town. And that would be north of me, that way. We're going to see what it looks like at night with this hooked to the Sony A7S. All right, there's the moon at prime with a focal reducer on, out in the middle of nowhere. I got clouds getting ready to come in, so this is going to disrupt the night, but not too bad. I'm going to go to crop mode. I have crop mode on right now. Pretty impressive. There's not a lot of features on the moon at this point in time where it's setting, but it's enough. The rest of the footage you're gonna watch is from at my house the night before. I got my yard lights and that out, and the moon's not quite as bright, but it's there. So clouds are coming, and this is the first time I set up in this field, and it actually worked quite well. Pretty neat. Okay, here is prime with the focal reducer on this Sony A7S hooked to the 10-inch. I'm going to stop and probably try to get a couple pictures, and then we'll go into crop mode. Actually, right there's crop mode first, then we'll do some pictures. Okay, I got the ISO completely cranked on this Sony 409,000. That is a very, very dim satellite that I cannot even attempt to see with my naked eye going across the screen. Pretty neat, huh? Well, here we are again. I am another night with, and this time I have a 12-volt battery, 140 watt cheap power inverter hooked to that battery. That's just a cigarette lighter plug, and then running my setup to track. Hopefully it's set up enough to track, and it is. There's a little star right here, and I'm gonna go get my focuser and make sure it's focused. But out in the middle of nowhere I'm actually running this, so no electricity anywhere around me. But that moon's going to be coming up over there, so I got to hurry up. Want to make sure it's focused. I think I got everything, so we'll see how it does. Okay, I got the ISO cranked right now to 204,000, but you're looking at Saturn, and I do believe some of its moons around it. What I'm going to do is digitally zoom in, and it looks like there's other moons. But then we're going to turn the ISO down and then put some eyepieces in. It's pretty neat, ain't it? Here's with the ISO down to 500. Now what I'll do is digitally zoom in here. It's pretty neat. Okay, now what we're going to do is get a eyepiece in there and see if we can zoom in a little optically. That is Saturn with crop mode on, and it is windy out yet, so 15 millimeter eyepiece. It's cooling off, so I suppose we got some moisture, vapors in front of the scope. This wind just isn't going to die down. We never get a wind from the southwest or southeast, and looking right at it. But that is pretty cool. That is Saturn. I don't know if I want to get any farther. What we're going to do is move over to Jupiter. And we're going to leave the 15 millimeter eyepiece in. Alright, if the wind would die down a little, you can actually see the red spot on Jupiter. And this is with the 15 millimeter eyepiece in. So that's not too bad. A little bit low on the horizon. Now if I were to crank the ISO up, you'll see all the moons. It's actually two moons right on top of each other, and the third one over to the side. There's one off in the distance, but not too shabby. Like I said, you can just barely make out the red spot on it. A lot of moisture in the air yet. I can't get it. Well, that might be a little better focus. So there would be Jupiter with a 15 millimeter eyepiece in. See, but this wind is getting bad. Alright, I moved to a 9 millimeter eyepiece. You can actually see the red storm on Jupiter right there. Look at that. Well, I don't have too much wind blowing. That's pretty neat, ain't it? 9 millimeter working quite well on this 10-inch scope. We've probably got 20 mile an hour winds blowing. Sad. Boy, that wind is bad. I'm still going to try to move it over, find a couple other objects or something, but I'm going to put in my focal reducer and go prime for that. Focal reducer's in, so I'm going to pan around with this. That's Jupiter there, and that's the amount of moons and stuff you can see around it. Pretty neat. Is that pretty cool or what right there? Some kind of cluster. I'm not sure what that is at all. That is actually called the butterfly cluster. Be the best. I got an ISO cranked on this Sony, 409,000. But you're looking at totally live view. So there we go. Meade 10-inch.